going to begin in a few moments. We have such a wonderfully gifted group here to do the first portion of the show. Before we tell you a little bit about them and invite Ralph up, just like to announce there are some moderate refreshments in the back, like water, if anybody would like some water, so you can head back before there. And there's also a donation bin. I like that too. So we put the donation bin right by the water, so you know, good, okay. Great. And we purposely made it hot today, so you have to go. You know. But anyway, yes, and this gentleman here to my right is James Poling, also co-creator of Modern Warriors. So we're going to tell you a little bit about the production after we hear this wonderful group here. And I just want to say just a couple words about the Western Reserve Community Band. This is my first time hearing them, but a long time dear friend of mine is one of the key members of the group, Mr. Ralph Meyer. Actually, your son and myself, yeah, we both played trumpet growing up in different bands around Tri-C and around the communities. And it's so great to have known you for all these years. He's one of the most avid jazz fans on the planet at virtually every show around town in the Cleveland area. And we're glad to welcome him up to the stage to tell you a little bit about this wonderful band and this important piece. Please welcome Ralph Meyer to the stage. Great, thank you.
Thank you. So we have been wanting to partner with Dominic for a long time to figure out some way to do this, and it happened to be that a local composer named John Pasternak wrote a symphony dedicated to John F. Kennedy that has 5 different movements. And so he wrote this in 2016, and each of the movements is based upon words from a specific speech that John F. Kennedy gave over the course of his presidency. So we have the audio clips that the sound gentleman's going to be cued by the conductor and composer over there, John. He's going to cue him to play the audio clip, and then we'll play the music that's specific to that particular piece. So the first movement is based upon Kennedy's inaugural address from January 20th of 1961. The second movement is the speech about going to the moon, which was given at Rice University, September 12, 1962. The third movement is about the nation as opposed to war. It was a report to the American people about the Soviet arms buildup in Cuba on October 22nd of 1962. Then Kennedy, for the fourth movement, Kennedy gave a speech at American University in June of 1963, June 10th, and he talked about what kind of peace does he mean, and that's the fourth movement. And then the last movement is entitled, I Look Forward to an America, and these are the remarks that Kennedy made at Amherst College, 26th of October, 1963, which wasn't, like basically a month before he was assassinated. So this is the JFK Symphony. We've had the pleasure of John Pasternak, who's over there pacing around in front of the jet. He is not only the composer, but the guest conductor today. He has composed for community ensembles throughout Northeast Ohio since 2003. He has a degree from Kent State University. He's an active composer. He has a whole bunch of band compositions through several different publishing houses that people who do community bands and high school bands and things like that take advantage of. He's also a freelance composer for hire, so if you need music for anything, you can hire him to compose it for you, and he's currently the assistant band director of Brecksville Broadview Heights Schools. So without any further ado, we will do the JFK Symphony. Thank you.
And if you don't mind, since the group is over here, just turn your chairs a little bit, right? So you're facing them, that'd be great. And then don't forget when Modern Warrior starts to turn back. Great. And just to mention, after they're finished, about a 20-minute piece, we're going to take just about 10 minutes to get reset. And you could grab some water back there or head into the air conditioner areas on either side, the gallery or the lobby. So, all right, thank you very much. Take care.
Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century, tempered by war disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. The opening vistas of space promise high cost and hardships, as well as high reward. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone. and one we intend to win.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability. The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it. And one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender or submission. Our goal is not the victory of might, but the vindication of right. Not peace at the expense of freedom, but both peace and freedom here in this hemisphere. And we hope around the world that goal will be achieved.
Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war, not the peace of the grave or the security of the slave. I am talking about genuine peace, the kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living, the kind that enables men and nations to grow and to hope and build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time. So let us not be blind to our differences, but let us also direct attention to our common interests and the means by which those differences can be resolved. And if we cannot end now our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. For in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's futures, and we are all mortal. I look forward to a great future for America, a future in which our country will match its military strength with our moral restraint, its wealth with our wisdom, its power with our purpose. I look forward to an America which will not be afraid of grace and beauty, which will protect the beauty of our natural environment, which will preserve the great old American houses and squares and parks of our national past, and which will build handsome and balanced cities for our future. I look forward to an America which will reward achievement in the arts as we reward achievement in business or statecraft. I look forward to an America which will steadily raise the standards of artistic accomplishment and which will steadily enlarge cultural opportunities for all of our citizens. And I look forward to an America which commands respect throughout the world, not only for its strength, but for its civilization as well. And I look forward to a world which will be safe, not only for democracy and diversity, but also for personal distinction.
They've all been kind of mediocre hours.
Western Reserve Community Band, ladies and gentlemen. Another round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, man. This is just kind of so surreal in this environment to hear this beautiful and meaningful music and those wonderful excerpts of the speeches. Thank you so much. Thank you. Another round of applause for the Western Reserve Community Band. And beautiful. Great. So we're going to take just a couple moments, and in 10 minutes, the Modern Warrior Live show will begin. And as we mentioned before, either side here, the gallery, the lobby, they're all air conditioned, and we have some refreshments in the back. So we'll see you back here in just under 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Bear! No, that's a dog. That's a bear. No, it's a dog.
Thanks for coming out. How's everyone doing today? Good.
Okay.
It's exciting. Yeah.
Hang on one second.
You want? Oh.
All right, so we appreciate the gentle applause. Hold on, I used to go to bingo with my grandma every Friday night at St. Rita's Church up in Solon, and night after night she would win. And at first the applause was like really enthusiastic, but then all of her peers were starting to get upset, and it started to get less and less each time she would yell bingo, right? And so after 15 times, you know, you would think you're on a golf course with the applause from my grandmother. And that's what your applause actually reminds me of. So thank you for bringing me back to that moment. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to introduce James briefly, and we're going to talk for a minute and then get right to the show. So please welcome to the stage James Poling, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Yeah, that feels good. All right.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for coming out. We're excited when we do these shows and we come to communities. We like to try and partner with services in the community as well. So you'll notice there's some tables in the back tonight. We have the Stark County Veteran Service Commission back there, as well as representatives from the VA Crisis Line. So if you guys have questions about veteran services within the community or anything like that throughout the show and after, please feel free to connect with them, and they can do a great job of pointing you in the right direction.
And I'd just like to acknowledge a few very important folks that have helped to make this happen. This is our first time down here in Canton, and certainly our first time here at this marvelous space. So we're really glad to have all of you, and really fortunate to be able to do this show with special thanks to a few folks that I just want to mention. First of all, of course, everyone, Valerie and Kim and Bruce and all the staff here at the MAPS Air Museum. Please give them a round of applause for hosting us. Thank you. And of course, we'd like to thank our longtime sponsors, NEOPAT, the Northeast Ohio Foundation for Patriotism. They do wonderful advocacy work throughout the area. Also, the wonderful PEGS Foundation, which does incredibly important work around mental health around the community. And a very special thank you to the Western Reserve Community Band, of course, for giving us this opportunity to collaborate and to help us get on stage here. Thank you. I just want to give a very sincere, special thank you to Fran Donovan, who her husband, Harry Donovan, is a veteran, and they have this wonderful organization, the Donovan Veterans Fund. And for those of you who have programs, if you can take a look at the back page, it has just a little bit about their organization, as well as a website to go and learn more about their wonderful foundation and all the great work they're doing. So please give the Donovan Veterans Fund a round of applause. Thank you. And of course, our two dear friends here who helped to get this show up from day one about 2 years ago in Cleveland. We piloted it in Cleveland, and we've done about 50 performances all around the country at veteran health organizations, mental health conferences, theaters, and schools. And we certainly couldn't do it without the wonderful guidance and support of Scott Baylog and Stacy Banks. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I know you don't like when I mention your name, but I have to because I love you guys. Thank you. You guys are awesome. So now we're going to get things started. So thank you again for coming out, and we'd like to present to you Modern Warrior Live.
We are warriors, and the desire to prove ourselves in combat is as timeless as the combat itself. We feel connected to the Zonde warrior of Africa, the Persian immortal, the Apache, and the Viking. And like the Viking, we miss our brothers in Valhalla, where the warrior lives forever. I remember discussing with the men why we fight. More specifically, why after a certain point in a certain number of fights have we decided to stay and keep fighting. We're as similar as we are different. We look and sound different, and we come from much further than just the boundaries of the United States. But we're the same. We're assertive, we're stubborn, and we're loyal to one another. We see ourselves in our brothers as we see ourselves in our enemies. For us, fighting is very much a choice. We aren't victims of our socioeconomic disadvantage or seeking society's validation. We understand that both combat and society have changed. We fight, we feel loss, we return home, we grow, and we lead new men and women in this modern world as modern warriors. I joined the Army less than a month after my 17th birthday, and my first stop is Fort Benning, Georgia, where after having my head shaved and getting my uniforms issued, I have my first personal interaction with a drill sergeant. And he turns and looks down at me, and in an uncharacteristically friendly voice, he asks me if I have a girlfriend. He then quickly tells me to shut the fuck up and proceeds to paint a violent and vulgar picture of him and her together. And I spend the next 14 weeks with the men next to me, and we fall into a rotation between leaning on and pushing one another. And once we learn to work together, it's pretty easy. For the most part, the individuals that can't find their way into our tribe find their way out of the unit, and the ones on the fringe fight to improve their position. The pressure that we put on one another is more than the training itself applies, because at the end of the day, we can all recognize that we're marching towards war.
Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left.
Someone once told me that singing cadence is supposed to help control your breathing, and the person's full of shit. But as I listen to the lyrics of this particular one, and I think of the men marching on all sides of me, I can't help but wonder which of us aren't coming back. Sitting on the front porch with my dad in preparation for my first deployment. And we're discussing the allocation of my life insurance policy and how I wanted to cover college for my little brother. And then he gets a little more choked up and he asks what I would want done with my body. And it seems like such a cruel conversation to have with a parent. But me thinking funerals are for the living, I tell him what I think would help them most. A hometown burial in a suit with military honors. And then the day comes to finally leave, and turning my back on him is the hardest part, so instead I just keep backing up. Maybe it's because I can't look away from my dad's eyes. I haven't seen him cry since I was 6, and since then we've relied on each other. Watching my family console one another, I'm sad to see him cry again. And then I leave. In Afghanistan, the learning curve is steep. And through my night vision, I see something that looks like a fuse being lit, and my squad leader jumps behind my equipment. A second later, something flies past my head and sticks in the ground. It's the first time I was ever shot at with a rocket-propelled grenade, and I'm mostly just irritated I hadn't recognized what was happening. Luckily, though, by the time I'm needed, I'm more than proficient. Before flying into a hostile city, we prepare thoroughly. We map out exactly where we're landing, how we're going to attack each building, and we discuss our rules for lethal engagement. But once I prepare my weapons, explosives, and other equipment, I have some time to myself. I know that the safety of my guys is in my hands, and that my safety's in theirs. So I put my headphones in, I block thoughts of my family, and I listen to others fighting back home. This puts me in an introspective place and allows me to take on a character as I prepare myself to be calculated, unforgiving,
and uncompromisingly violent. Sure. Yeah, I'm at war wide awake while I'm dreaming of home. Pushing pills out the band with my hand on my chrome. Platoon full of soldiers, yet I still feel alone. Going through all of the emotions, starting to feel like a drone. Yeah, something gotta get, this ain't no way to live. Every other day, feel like an apocalypse just to get the chips. Mama's income is fixed, so I mix for the fiends with the heroin nicks. Ain't no friends in this wars on my man. Blocks full of foes, fishing for a fix to your whip full of bullet holes. Anything goes in this jungle of juggernauts. Slugs pointing pop, leaving mothers to cry a lot. And camouflage will keep you protected from the crossfire. You'll be a headliner in the next bonfire. Fall in line and watch the culture decline. Salute to the troops that recruit and comply. Aye, aye, Captain. Hammers get the clapping, and now I'm swerving in my Suburban to get the serving. Mother, brother, sister, son, for the low. And 2 for 1, cause I got a chip on my shoulder, clip in my hand. Praying to the Lord that my pistol never jam. I'm the man, he command, I'm the man. Doing what it takes to provide for my family.
I fly in carrying the M240 Bravo. The M240 Bravo is a 49-inch, 27.6 pound, 7.62 millimeter belt-fed, air-cooled, fully automatic machine gun fired from the open bolt position. It's capable of firing 650 to 950 rounds a minute and has a maximum effective range of 1,100 meters on tripod. It's my gun. And in a lot of ways, it's my identity. There's a comfort in the clarity of our shared purpose, and it's never let me down. After a long walk into the city, I'm changing my socks. My friend yells down from the roof that he sees a bunch of guys carrying backpacks. A moment later, he yells back, "Never mind, they're bags of rocket-propelled grenades," and within moments, that mud rooftop begins getting chewed down by a hail of automatic gunfire. I grab the other machine gun and move out as I hear one of our leaders say, "We're surrounded. Air support's 45 minutes out to hold this building." My friend runs by me screaming, "It's the fucking Alamo." And it makes me laugh as I settle into my position on this corner alley.
Yeah, it's like I'm wrestling with good and bad angels. Steady, ready to finesse, finagle. My shooter finger where the trigger dangle. Pick my angle on the slum battlefront. When the scum slump in the riverfront. When the shells dump, just a rip pump for all the ops that prefer to hum. Any other battle song opposite of where I'm from. I keep a tech tuck to protect my breadcrumbs. Handguns the outcome for my income. 10 toes down with 6 bullets in the chamber. Always up to kill, always double down for danger. Never been a stranger to the wild side. I will kill you in Manila or the south side. And that's just the way it is, young fella. Deposit shots in your spot like a bank teller. For the record, you can check my street statements. Hit the always check out post dated. I'm cold-blooded, but my bullets is stove top hot. Red the core on the sole of my white shell top. And tell my pops he got the monster that he asked for. I let my bullets fly far without a passport. I'm in war wide awake with my AK, trying to make it out alive, see another doomsday. I'm in war wide awake with my AK, trying to make it out alive, escape another doomsday. I got a chip on my shoulder, a clip in my hand. Praying to the Lord that my pistol never jam. I'm the man in command, I'm the man. Doing what it takes to provide for my fam.
My platoon's made sure I have enough ammo to make it through this fight, and I'm lying here ready to keep anyone from getting to my guys. They're busy fighting in every direction, and it's my job to keep the enemy from reinforcing itself. There's a 3-foot wall to my left, and a mud building to my right, and as the rounds hit above my head, it settles on my position and slightly chokes off each breath. There's an enemy fighter coming to meet me here, and I know he's coming here because that's what I'd do if I was him. I'd come to the corner of that 3-foot wall, point my AK-47 down it, and spray this position. So I decide I'm gonna shoot his weapon. He'll be about 50 feet away, and I think I can realistically cover that whole wall before he can get me. It's weird how calm I feel. Everything just kind of makes sense. I don't even feel scared, but I'm also not convinced I'm gonna live through the moment. And then my enemy does the unexpected. He stands up and sprints. And for a moment, I'm completely caught off guard. I squeeze the trigger and throw my shoulder into my gun, and I get lucky. He's thrown back as he falls behind the building he was running to. And a second later, his feet are pulled from sight.
I got a chip on my shoulder, yeah. I got a chip on my shoulder and a clip in my hand. Praying to the Lord that my pistol never jam. I'm the man in command, I'm the man. Doing what it takes to provide for my fam. Chip on my shoulder, clip in my hand. Praying to the Lord that my pistol don't jam. I'm the man in command, I'm the man. Doing what it takes to provide for my. I got a chip on my shoulder, a clip in my hand. Praying to the Lord that my pistol never jam. I'm the man in command, I'm the man. Doing what it takes to provide for my fam. I got a chip on my shoulder, a clip in my hand. Praying to the Lord that my pistol never jam. I'm the man in command, I'm the man. I'm the man in command, I'm the man.
Mission with a new confidence. I speak a little louder in every conversation. I feel better somehow. And I know I found what I was meant to do, so I re-enlist for 6 years. The re-enlistment isn't completely guilt-free though. My little brother was 12 when I left, and I can't help but feel like I've let him down. Between the fights, I think about the moments where I got lucky and how they could have gone differently. And I remember seeing Nick Berg get beheaded online. And it forces me to consider the possibility of my own capture. I know that I could never let my little brother see a video of my execution, but I also don't know that I could actually kill myself. So, I write his name on a single 9mm bullet, and I place it in my sleeve pocket, so that just in case I ever completely run out of ammo, and I can't fight my way back to my guys, I could take out that same bullet and think about how he'll remember me, and then I'll make sure no one sees me suffer. Between my friend Troy and I, our machine guns are a force to be reckoned with in the fight, and we take on their identity. In one particular fight, he's on a rooftop behind mine, and he can't shoot back, so he cheers me on as I attempt to locate and kill the individual shooting at our team. I get an award for this firefight for killing up to 10 people as an achievement. At this point in my life, people ask me what it feels like to kill someone, and I calmly ask them what it feels like to make a grilled cheese, and that sounds cold. And I guess I like that. But my point is more that your environment shapes how you internalize the experience, and often individual thought's not given to processing that specific event. Plus, a lot of times killing someone's a collective effort. And a lot of people are shot behind bushes and trees. And what does it feel like to shoot a bush or a tree? I would argue that it feels like any other job, but with recoil. I'd grown up in a Christian household, spending many summers at church camp. And at 12, I couldn't wait to call my dad and tell him I wanted to be baptized. And I maintained this relationship with my church until I shipped out at 17. People often say that war reinforces their faith, or that it provides them with some spiritual experience, but that wasn't the case for me. I couldn't find the divine intervention in the lifelessness of the bodies and limbs around me. I remember before I'd left, though, I'd asked my church what their opinion would be of me if I had to kill someone. And they told me that they believed if it was in self-defense, that God would understand.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible swift sword. Ooh, his truth is marching on. marching on.
Numbness extends through my second deployment, as I reach a point that I don't even feel adrenaline in firefights anymore. I don't think I'm capable of feeling anything until Seth dies. He's the one that welcomed me to the unit, he taught me how to use my machine gun. He slept across from me, and on his last deployment we became close. I keep it together for the first couple days, but when my best friend catches me away from our guys and gives me a hug, I can't help but break down. He physically holds me up as my legs give out. And just as I start to get it together, he begins to break down. And I get my shoulder under his, and I hold his weight. Because that's what we do. We hold each other's weight. A moment later, we wipe our faces, we put back on our masks of composure, and we step back out in front of the men we're leading. Shortly after, while the tensions are still high, we capture a young enemy fighter. And as I approach him, he asks if I'm gonna cut his head off. I can't help but laugh and tell him no one's gonna hurt him. And when I smoke a cigarette, he asks for one. He can't use his hands, so I let him smoke it from mine. We see ourselves in our brothers as we see ourselves in our enemies. For a moment, I could see myself in him. I could feel this sense of humanity developing, but at the same time, I wouldn't hesitate to stab him in his neck if it was necessary to protect my guys. I start to see the consequences of my actions in my personal life. Romantically, 4 years of my emotional unavailability and general apathy has left my girlfriend questioning our relationship, and she leaves me. I start to have a hard time concentrating on the mission, and I begin to recognize that personally, I can't become the type of husband and father that I want to one day be, and maintain the fighter that I've chosen to become. So after sitting down and analyzing what's in my sphere of control and what I can hopefully influence, I decide that I'm gonna leave the military. It doesn't take long for things to start to feel a little more optimistic. And for the first time, I start to wonder what I'm gonna do with my life, now that I can imagine growing older.
Now I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah. Your faith was strong, yet you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne and cut your hair, and from your lips she drew a hallelujah. 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 took the name in vain, but I don't even know the name. And if I did, really, what's it to you? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter which you've heard, the broken or the holy hallelujah. And maybe there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not someone who's seen the light. It's a cold, it's a broken It wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord a song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah.
Back in the States, it doesn't take me long to reach a point where I miss the fighting, and I feel like less without it. Luckily though, when I close my eyes and I think about the details of the fights, the adrenaline comes back and I feel alive again. One night, I go for a walk near my dad's house, and a light flight helicopter flies overhead. And immediately my heart starts racing and my hands start shaking as I feel everything that I feel when I'm in a helicopter being lowered into a firefight as tracers are flying by. But now, I'm just on a residential street in Ohio with my hands on my knees as I fight to catch my breath. I spend the next 4 hours chain smoking Newports as I try to figure out what the fuck just happened to me. times, I look for any excuse for a confrontation. And it seems that no matter how irrational we are, there's always one person that keeps us from making a mistake. After being provoked by an individual calling me sir, I casually place my hands behind my back and I let my watch fall into my pocket so it won't cut me when I hit him. And one of my friends sees this, recognizes someone's recording me on a cell phone and pulls me back. By working together, we protect one another, even from ourselves. I buy a new sports car and I start driving through places where I'll stand out, places people tell me not to go. One night, as I'm pulling out of a plaza, a prostitute approaches the driver's side of my car as a dealer tries to sell me coke through the passenger window. And though I appreciate neither of them care about the loaded Glock on my console, I decline their offers. But I know that the three of us understand violence. And it makes me feel closer to myself in their world.
I'm on a black elevator going down. Little Joe from Kokomo is rattled to the ground. The dash is laughing at the man that he throws. You're rolling over to the low side of the road. The moon is red and you're dancing real slow. Only 29 miles left to go, and the chain monkeys, they help you with your load. You're rolling over to the low side of the road. Jezebel is naked with an axe. All the prosecution, they tell you to relax. And your head feels like it's about to explode. You're rolling over. You're rolling over. The clapper has been ripped out of the bell. And the flapper has been kicked right out of hell. The horse whips the man that he rode. You're rolling over to the low side of the
When I wake up, I'm uncomfortable. I'm soaked and I can feel my sheets sticking to my legs. I hate the day already. It's 4:30 in the afternoon and I have 3 missed text messages. The first is from my mom, and the other 2 are from a girl that I just met, but before getting to know her, I'm bored. Plus, I don't have the energy or desire to let her in, and if I did, I'd just hurt her in the long run, so I'll distance myself now. Maybe this is what my mom means when she says she doesn't like the way I treat women. As I roll my feet off the bed, I can recognize that my head hurts from the alcohol-induced dehydration, but I've grown to accept it as a normal feeling, and I justify it with the random military achievements scattered around my apartment. Am I crazy? Society determines what crazy is, right? And what does society know about the real world? I mean, I guess they know I'm crazy.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions had an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch, but it wasn't because I didn't know enough. No, I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
My toothbrush looks disgusting when I pick it up. I let my thoughts go where they want. It's the first time I've stopped since I was 17, and I don't know whether to grieve or feel hopeless, be angry, or try and psychoanalyze myself, so I just start remembering who I was. Remembering the men that followed me. Remembering a time that I felt better.
And I hope that you are having the time of your life. Oh, but would you think twice? That's my only advice. Come on now, who do you think you are? Bless your soul. If you really think you're in control, maybe you're crazy. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe you're crazy.
I hear my phone ringing and I'll see who it was later. I step in the shower and the heat from the water reminds me that I'm only physically here. Mentally, I'm with those that I live for. My mind quickly bounces between not just the friends that I've lost, but their widows and their children, and I can't help but picture each one individually as they flash through my thoughts like some fucked up slideshow. I wish I could trade places with any of them. I try to prevent what's about to happen. I tell myself, I'm the tough guy. I've ended lives with my decisions and my hands, and no matter what I tell myself, I can't stop it. And I feel my bottom lip curl like I'm a child, and I sit down in the shower shaking. My phone starts ringing again, and I can't talk to anyone today. They'd either think I'm crazy or they'll feel sorry for me. I don't want either.
My
But at the same time, if our view of the veterans is one of disease orientation, of post-traumatic stress syndrome, of disorder, if you assume that there's something wrong with people, if you do it long enough, expectations are very strong. There's also something called post-traumatic growth, where you come out of a situation like that and you actually feel kinder toward your fellow man, fellow woman, that you are actually a better husband, father. You actually have a closer relationship with your God. You do not have to go around apologizing if there's some rage in you. Although if we tell our veterans enough that this is what's wrong with them, they may actually start believing it. I would just say there's one misperception of our veterans, and that is they are somehow damaged goods. I don't buy it, and I think that that kind of self-pity, while victimhood in America is exalted, I don't think our veterans should join those ranks.
That's another viewpoint on trauma, and I think it's better said by General James Mattis than myself. But I know that sharing my past wouldn't be such a big deal if it didn't change how people viewed me at a time when I'm still trying to figure out how I viewed myself. Even in my own head, the negative stigmas can blur my self-perceptions. I know if I left it to others, I would be damaged, I'd be sedated, I'd be another object of sadness for that general PTSD narrative, and the worst part would be the social acceptability of it all. Slowly, over months, I start to organize my thoughts. I begin to recognize that the time I've spent processing my past has left me feeling healthier. I'm happier, but I still don't feel very capable. I meet an amazing young woman, and for her, I try to find the right balance of confidence and empathy, of action and introspection. I try and blend the best parts of who I was with the best parts of who I can be. I sign up for 2 classes, afraid I might not be able to handle a third. And almost immediately, I reconnect with the ambition I remember having in the military. My first writing assignment's a memoir, and because of it, I become the guest speaker for Veterans Day. Those around me encourage me to find greater challenges, as I begin to recognize that the lessons I've learned in the military are now leading to my personal growth. Even though I'm finding success, my peace of mind requires maintenance and reflection, and without it, my memories can catch me off guard. On Memorial Day, I begin to miss everyone I served with, both alive and dead. And even though I'm surrounded by my loved ones, I feel alone again. I'm pulled from my thoughts as I hear someone complain about me being on my phone. They say Memorial Day is about family and being together. And I smile and apologize. I'm not upset. I understand their perception of the day. I feel uncomfortable around everyone now, though, and it's not a new feeling, but it's one that's been absent for quite some time. Now everyone's aware of my sensitivity to it, and they want to help, but don't know how. And so for the rest of the day, people are soft with me, and that's uncomfortable. These moments are rare and becoming less frequent, but I still don't know how to deal with them, and maybe I never want to. The other day, my mom asked me how I found peace. Maybe I found it in wanting to share it. I know that there's individuals out there that feel as though they cannot relate. I know that some might see me as an exception, and I understand that for others, things might not get better. But I can't help but think that there's individuals out there that need to know that growth is possible. They need to know that society can be wrong when it assigns labels to survivors based on the trauma we survive. Why is it the case someone that survives cancer is considered stronger, while someone that survives combat is considered damaged or a liability? Forged in combat's a saying we rarely hear now. Why? We don't feel like victims. I'm not saying that that road's always easy. It's littered with overdoses and suicides. And each time that dull pain that comforts me is transformed into a searing pain. And that feeling leaves me once again looking forward to just the familiar ache of loss. But I know that I would do it all again. Most of us would. Because those struggles have shaped who we are. I'm grateful to be here sharing some of my memories today. And I say some of my memories because I can't share everything. I can't tell you what it's like to open a closed casket and polish your friend's uniform, knowing that you'll be the last one to see him. And I can't tell you what it's like to look a 3-year-old in the eye and try and explain to him who his father was, or how my friends have sacrificed their lives to protect the men and women next to them. To clarify, it's not that I can't share these memories because it would be too hard, although that's also true. But I can't share these memories because even though they're the ones that weigh most heavily on me, they're not solely mine to share. They belong to the lost ones' friends and families, and for that reason I can only share them with those closest to me. And when I share them, I share a part of myself. I become vulnerable. But I find a new toughness in this vulnerability. For the first time in a long time, I feel as though I'm once again becoming part of something bigger than myself. Something timeless and uncompromising. Until Valhalla.
very much. James Poling, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Beautiful.
Thank you very much. And none of this is possible without Dominic Farinacci, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
I'm just curious, in the audience, would you mind standing up if you're a veteran or active duty? You mind standing? Just like to. There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all you do and for joining us here. Just a couple things I'd like to recognize these wonderful musicians. Several of them are really iconic artists in the Cleveland area and also kind of around the globe. We're so glad to have them real nearby here. And first on piano, Dr. Lafayette Carthon. He's a wonderful band leader. He's been the musical director for so many incredible legends, and worked with so many great artists, Michael Jackson, so many others, and all the great gospel artists on the scene. And he's a wonderful educator as well. He's the director of the Carthon Institute, and really impacts the lives of the younger generation of musicians around Cleveland. So thank you for all you do, Lafayette, man. Appreciate it. On bass, we actually went to school together and grew up playing at Tri-C when we were in high school. And this is, certainly one of the baddest dudes on the planet, one of my favorite bass players. And he's been on tour with Babyface and doing a lot of movie scoring and things like that. And he's busy as cats on the scene, and it's great to have him with us. This is Walter Barnes on bass. And on drums, he's the oldest member of the band. He just turned 16, so he's going into his junior year, right, at Cleveland School of the Arts, and been working together the past couple of years, man. He's got, as you can hear, a truly special gift in this music. And this is Gabe Jones on drums. Wonderful vocalist. It's going to take you a while to come up from stage, but if you could walk quick, that'd be great. Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, on the war segment, that great rap thing you heard, and he orchestrated that whole thing. This is a wonderful a poet and artist on the Cleveland scene, doing a lot of great things. This is Mr. Orlando Watson. Our vocalist also from the Cleveland area. You heard him on Battle Hymn and on the first piece, I forget the name, the Choppers tune. And man, soulful voice, man. I love the spirit that he brings to this music. This is Will Blaze. And the vocalist who came in from New York City to join us here, we've been working together, the two of us have been working together over the past few years. And we first met on the other side of the planet in Doha, Qatar, through a residency with the Jazz and Lincoln Center in New York. And ever since then, I always love having her on all the different projects that I'm involved with. And she makes me cry every time she sings Hallelujah. And that is just so incredibly beautiful. And it's always a gift to have her on the bandstand. This is Chanel Johns. And certainly one of my favorite trumpet players on the planet, man. He's just incredible, and man, he could really play. And, so cool. Thank you.
Yeah, one more time for Dominic Farinacci, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks. Yeah, it's actually in the contract. We have to thank him 4 times after every show, or we get sued. So thanks. So this is my favorite part of the show. I like hanging out afterwards and just kind of talking. We love feedback, obviously, but anything that anybody wants to share as well. But yeah, comments, criticisms, especially if they're about Dominic, are always welcome. And we have a microphone over there, so if anybody would like to or be willing, raise your hand, we'll have it brought to you.
One of the important things about our initiative, let me just spend just a few minutes. I'm doing this in case anybody wants to share anything now or after in private. But one of our goals is really to help to build that communication and that dialogue of understanding between on the civilian side in terms of better trying to understand and the veteran experience in a way that that is kind of accessible to folks like myself who don't have many tight connections and not kind of inside that world. And so on one level, it's really about, you know, helping to heighten the communication between the two communities, and also to really to help to build dialogue within audiences that we, you know, wherever we go around the country. We always love to hear kind of input, and if this kind of, you know, has it moved you? What did it make you think about? Were you able to relate to it in any way? Has it had any kind of impact on you? And things like that, we're always kind of, you know, curious to hear.
And a big part of the reason this came about from my end, because obviously Dominic goes around performing all over the world. I, on the other hand, was a grunt and then working on a finance degree, so it's kind of weird as to how I would get into something like this. But when I got out of the military, had a year or two transitioning. I eventually got back to a good place, started going to John Carroll. I was getting a finance degree, and my junior year, a mutual friend of ours reached out for us to asking if I would work on a music video with Dominic. And my first thought was, no, I have no desire to do a music video. I was focused on strategy consulting. But the one thing that I kept thinking about was, everything I was seeing in the media, those portrayals of vets that I mentioned in the show, is always being portrayed as damaged or liabilities, or in rare instances, heroes. But obviously, we can look at the heroes and we're not those guys. So then when you look at somebody with similar experiences as to yourself, always portrayed in such a negative, and I think it's important to highlight that, because if we're able to kind of look at trauma through both perspectives, then it doesn't seem so much like it's potentially a life sentence. It seems like there's a way to work through things. And for a lot of people, we can get back to a good place. We can find ways to deal with it, manage it, and then grow from it. So I love being able to do this and share that message, obviously, with such an amazing method of storytelling that Dominic and the band has brought to the table here.
Yes.
I just thought it was very moving. And do you have a schedule or a calendar of when you're going to be doing it again and again and again?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we have a show at Lakeland Community College next Saturday. Okay. It's kind of our only other local show for a while. Then we're back on the road.
You're going to go other places?
Yeah, then we're Omaha, DC, New Jersey, New York. We're kind of bouncing around after that. But we do have a show at Lakeland Community College. That'll be in a theater setting. We have flyers over there on the table. I see some as fans out there, so that works too. But yeah, so that, if the website, it's, I forget, the website's on there. I want to say it's Lake.
It was modernwarriorlive.org. That's the name of the show we're doing. So
that works as well.
Yeah, if you click on that link, If you go to the website, then it'll direct you to all the upcoming shows, and we constantly update it with all the info, and you can connect with us in different ways there. So modernwarriorlive.org. Sorry.
No, you're good. But that link, that website, you can register for 2 free tickets if you're a veteran. If not, tickets are $10. And then you'll see the show. The music and narrative is pretty similar, but you'll see a multimedia element integrated as well. And that's kind of how our show exists in the theatrical setting.
Great. Anybody else would like to share anything now before we just say good night? Well, it's still light out. Yeah, early for jazz. Yeah.
And actually, one more thing as well. If you are willing to talk about the show in any way, if you wouldn't mind linking up with Jess and telling her, we are collecting little video testimonials to provide to individuals that are supporting the show, that are making things like this happen, so that they can see the impact, and we can continue to do this. So if anybody would be willing, we'd greatly appreciate that. But yeah, does anybody else have any feedback publicly?
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I just want to say a very special thank you to MAPS Era Museum, and I forgot to mention a couple key folks. Yeah, Jess, man, she's doing a great job on multimedia and helping us out with kind of getting this thing up, in our sound design here. Kent Dawkins, who I owe a big apology to, because you heard a click throughout the show. My actual wire is actually damaged, so I apologize, Kent. And but everybody who helps make this show happen. And thank you all so much for coming out and joining us today at this very special place, MAPS Era Museum. So we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, is he gonna get in the front seat? Yeah, you don't see him
I'm wondering if I...
Yeah, I wouldn't get in. I would just stand like right there.
We have... This works for me.
Yeah. This will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame next week.
Oh, cool.
You can say you rolled in the first.
Well, actually, Dom, if you're actually in there, well, let's just...
Yeah, we're going to close
Let's,
up.
here, I'll just hop in. Let's just close it up. Hey, Dom, can you close your side? We might as well. I mean, when else are we going to get a picture of the Cobra?
It's wedged open.
Yeah, it closes. Yeah, can we get some pictures with this closed? Is that cool?
And then
Hey, Jess, could you find... I'm sorry.
So funny.
Okay, no, this is good because. Hey, all right, back seat, pay attention. Okay, so photography. This is a good picture for you because the flag's reflecting. Sorry, just to let you know. He made me screaming pretty soon about getting out of here.
It's gonna get warm.
You claustrophobic?
Oh, wait a minute, we gotta get the steps out. Next.
Oh, you guys just...
Jim,
That's all
steps, come out. Move it. Come on.
Glad I got this
Run,
nice
Forrest,
white shirt on.
You'll have to go this way. No, this way, because you're gonna knock that down.
Oh, I can't do anything right now.
I know, that's why the women are. Hey, you guys gotta look this way.
All right, guys.
Jay. Would you like a glass of wine?
Can't hear you.
Well, he has a big glare on his face.
Yeah,
so...
you have to like
Hey, Pam.
Like, sit up a little.
sit up a little bit. Sit up straight.
Not from that angle.
That's better, yeah.
I like the smiley ones. You need some air.
I can open that door if you want to take it from here.
I don't really care about seeing your face, but okay. Yeah.
You want the door open? Okay, that way it'll get rid of some of the glare. Like your head.
Well, you gotta have a little fun with this.
I'll pretend like that here, okay?
Can you see my face?
Sit up a little more.
He's too short too.
And like put it right in
Put
this
your
like
head in
crack.
between- yeah.
Like, come forward a little more.
Okay.
So we should do a serious and then just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's got to be a very serious sitting in a Cobra attack helicopter picture.
Like I'm ready to attack.
See, what I like about this is all these
With your
guys
trumpet.
turn 12 when they come here. I said they all turn
Jim,
12.
would you stop talking? Jay, shut up. James, what are you looking at?
I'm trying to get my face.
Would you shut up? Just stay there. Okay. Okay.
You get anything?
Yeah.
I can't wait to post that with the caption, Dominic's coming for your mom.
You get a Siri.
You just don't really see him in the back.
Here, you ready?
There, yeah. Come up more.
Next. All the ones with steps.
Here. Let's get one.
Okay, we're going home. That's cute.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, can we give this one more? Like we're really going into combat. Like put on your combat face. Okay.
With the horn?
Yeah.
I know, with the horn.
Put on your bitchy face.
I didn't like growl at people when I shot.
What kind of look is that? That's like a psycho look.
Are you guys done in there, you children?
I think they need therapy.
Okay, but yeah, we do need to get one with Patrick.
All right, let's go.
All right, Patrick.
Okay, why don't you guys go there and stand alongside us?
Yeah, you guys just need to stand here.
I know what Dominic's next 7 album covers are going to be.
Oh no, they're going to take it without the. You're stuck there.
Yeah, I can put my foot there.
on there. And then put your foot down here.
Oh, cool.
You can get on Dominic's shoulders, you know.
Now we're calling each other names. Therapy. I got somebody you guys can go to for therapy. You might have to have a group session.
Okay.
That means 2 bottles.
Are we ready?
All right, yeah.
You haven't talked to my
With
parents?
Patrick.
As far as like, are we going without?
Yes, no, as soon as we
You
get
and
this packed
James.
up, I'm going to grab some food on my
Okay, and how much more do I need to give them?
20
Slash,
minutes.
is there
20
anything
minutes.
else due?
Yeah, could you rip all the tape off the carpets and throw them away? That would actually be super helpful.
Okay, just me and Patrick. Yeah.
Just click
I
at it.
did just click.
Wow, man. You all right?
Got yourself.
It's cool. These are my very normal size adult legs that I'm using to get around this helicopter. So
Dude, the photo shoot's over, man. Get down.
I thought you guys were getting in. This is
Over here.
Playgirls.
Oh, we're coming over here.
Just get in front of those things, the black thing.
Okay, man. I mean, all right.
Going for the black thing right there. So I can get.
Where?
He holds rockets.
Where am I going? Oh, right in the middle. Yeah.
If you give me, I can bring out my trumpet and I can.
Okay, now guys, just scoot over just a little bit this way. Yeah, this thing.
Which way? Which way am I?
There you go. Are you ready?
Yes. I don't know about the rest of you, but.